On behalf of the Lymer, Wilson, and Babcock families, we would like to thank you all for coming here today to celebrate and honor the life of our dad, John Arthur Lymer. As a husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, brother, and uncle, we loved and cherished the role that he played in that capacity and how much he meant to us all.
He taught us compassion in so many ways throughout our lives, from opening our front door to people in need, from bringing home stray dogs after a shift, and most profoundly, his undying love for our mom and the care that he provided to her.
It's actions like these that leave you with no regrets and provide valuable life lessons that I know we as a family will carry on and hopefully instill in others along the way.
Judging from the number of people here today, it appears that throughout his life he may have had an impact on many other lives, at least in some small way. I'm sure each of you have some stories to tell, and we would love to hear them as we are still learning things about our dad that we didn't know. If we could hear some of those tidbits in the reception room later, that would be terrific. But in the meantime, we have some of our own to tell. Dad had a very unique way of making new visitors to the house welcome, either with magic tricks or puzzles or pranks, mostly pranks. One of the first ones I remember is Gloria coming over for her first dinner at our house when she was about 17, and looking away for a second at the dinner table and looking back and finding her full plate of food was missing. Needless to say, it was on my dad's knee underneath the table. And that was just a great way to break the ice with new people and find out actually if they have a good sense of humor.
It was great growing up in our mid-teens here in the house. Mom and Dad had provided this great place for us to be. We had the basement and that really neat basement apartment. And that's where we got to have our parties. And I think Dad, being a police officer, knew the trouble that kids could get into and that you're always going to experiment and do things you shouldn't. And I think he just thought having all our friends over whenever we wanted to, we were under his watchful eye, and he was always making sure we were okay. So started off with a pinball machine and ping pong, and then the pool table. I'm sure there was times we were thinking we were getting away with stuff that they never knew about, but we were so naive and stupid because I'm sure Dad knew everything that we were doing. At some point during the night, they would always come down and have a dance. I think it was their way of letting everybody know that they were still here in the house, keeping an eye on us, but also they just loved to dance. But all our friends were their friends. They'd come in the door before going downstairs. They'd sit and talk with Mom and Dad. Sometimes they'd come up in the evening time, sometimes have a chat with them, or you come up wondering where somebody is and they're sitting there playing cards with Mom and Dad. So Mom and Dad always made sure they had a connection with all our friends, and our house was the hub. So.
As you all know, Dad loves to pull pranks, and a couple ones that I remember clearly is a girlfriend of mine was working in the shoe department at the time was Woco, and she hadn't met Dad yet. So he went in there and went up to her and told her that his wife had her left foot was a size 8 and her right foot was a size 9. And could she sell him some shoes to fit each foot? And another time, actually, a friend of Jan, Cindy, was working in the makeup counter at Shoppers Drum Mart, and he went in and told her that his wife has one blue eye and one brown eye, and could she give him some makeup tips to purchase stuff for her.
So on our way back from one of our camping trips, which actually turned out to be one of the Griswold vacations, we ended up breaking down somewhere in Virginia. We needed to fix the trailer hitch on the station wagon. We left the trailer at a gas station with Mum, Julie, and my girlfriend Janice at the time. They watched the trailer as Dad and I searched locations, 2 locations, to fix the trailer, and we got parts from one and another, and we finally MacGyvered it, and we were on our way. But upon 3 hours return, we got back to the gas station, and to say the least, the girls were not happy. 3 men came out of the bar that was adjoining the gas station and offered us to come in out of the hot sun and join them for a beer, which they offered earlier to all the 3 girls, which they declined. But the only thing I have to say after that, it was the most enjoyable beer I ever had in my entire life, and only Dad was able to pull that one off.
Remember him and Mum taking the whole family up to Beaver Mead Campground in Peterborough. While we were up there for the weekend, he went into town with the Woody station wagon to pick up KFC for all of us. He came back 3 hours later with a 14-foot sailboat on the roof of the wagon. No KFC. Had to go back for that later. I found out a few years later when he took that sailboat down to Myrtle Beach, he was actually going out in it onto the horizon to be with the turtles and the dolphins, which is just insane with those swells and waves, but the quest for adventure was always there.
One of my favorite pictures from childhood was taken at the police department family Christmas party. It was so much fun going. You'd go and there was games and rides, and we'd get this gift bag to go home with, and it always had a toy in it, and an apple and an orange, and that pink popcorn, elephant popcorn or whatever, had an elephant on it. I can't remember. But there's a picture of my mom and Greg and Julie and a girl, Terry Lynn, that lived downstairs in the basement. And we're having our picture taken with the clown that was there. So Dad could never come to these events because he was busy working. So we're getting our picture taken with the clown, and I looked down at the clown's feet, and he had these sneakers on, and they had paint splashes all over them. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's my dad. You know, Dad had these sneakers that he always wore when he was like fixing things or going and painting all the neighbors' houses. And I looked down and I see these sneakers, and I thought, oh my gosh, this clown, he's my dad. That's why he couldn't bring us. He was at the party himself, keeping an eye on us, and he was being the clown. So I love that picture because I remember going, oh, that's my dad. It was a real magical moment.
And one of the many trips that we had down to South Carolina, it normally takes about an 18-hour drive one way. This one trip took us 40 hours on the way down and another 30 hours on the way back. We went through 3 flat tires in 3 different locations, some of them in the middle of nowhere. We blew the rad hose, and our trailer hitch broke, all in this one round trip. As you can imagine, there's a lot of hours spent repairing these things and gathering the parts and getting to locations where we could actually get things fixed by mechanics. And throughout all of those trials and tribulations, our dad never lost his cool once, which is a true testament to the volumes of patience that this man had.
I got into a wee bit of trouble when I was about 15 years old, but I was also one that never had the greatest timing with things either. At our Sunday afternoon family dinner, I received a phone call where I had to make myself present at the local police station along with 6 other teenagers regarding the same incident. I did say we trouble, right? It just so happens the police station was the one that my brother Steve worked at, and when I got there, I saw all my other friends. They were all separated and were being questioned and not allowed to talk. I was told to sit, and I was looking around the police station, and I saw a flyer on the wall in the police station. It said, "Vote Art Lymer for president." I told you, my timing was never good. When I got home, Dad and Mom greeted me. Mom was giving him the old once-over, and the only words Dad said was, "Leave him alone, Audrey. He has already gone through enough." He knew what I went through that night, and that I would be okay. He told me all of that without saying a word. If that is not a father with a calm demeanor and understanding, then I don't know what is. Dad was more worried about me and not worried about getting elected as president that year. That's the type of dad he was.